Welcome to No Broken Legs. It is week 15 in the NFL and COVID has come for our Cleveland Browns. Joining me to talk about all of this is Jimmy Champ. Jimmy, how are you on this sunny Friday afternoon?
Man, I'm doing good. The weather's pretty nice outside. I'm just trying to keep a positive attitude for our Cleveland Browns going into this game tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's a lot to get to with the Browns and COVID, so let me start here. The NFL announced a new policy that will probably I think it's going to go into effect after this week, but the statement from the NFL basically says that, they're patting themselves on the back for continuously evolving their protocols, yada, yada. Basically, what they're going to do is look at getting players who are vaccinated and do not have symptoms but test positive. They're trying to lower the standards so that they can get those players back on the field sooner. Because, fingers crossed, man, Omicron looks like it is a lot more contagious, but it also looks like it is significantly less severe than the Delta variant, which is a really good thing and should lead to some changes in getting these players back, especially if they're symptom-free.
Man, it kind of seems like they're a week too late, because it's not just the Browns. I mean, the Browns are one of three teams with over 15 positive cases, or positive cases on their starting lineup. So it's not just the Browns getting hit, but
yeah,
there are at least three teams that are going to have a rough week this week.
Yeah, and just to run down the players, because there's a lot of them, and there's some really important names in here. The list so far is Kevin Stefanski, their acting running back coach Ryan Cordell, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Troy Hill, Malik McDowell. I cannot pronounce, what is it, Afidai Odenigbo?
Yeah.
John Johnson, Austin Hooper, Jedrick Wills, Wyatt Teller, Drew Forbes, Tack McKinley, backup wide receiver, and Ronnie Harrison. We also found out yesterday that Case Keenum has tested positive for COVID, so the Browns will be rolling into Saturday with Nick Mullins as their starting quarterback. It's bad, and as bad as it is, Jimmy, I still feel like the Browns have a decent chance to win this game. Do you feel like they have a decent chance to win this game despite all the players out?
Well, here's the thing. First off, now granted, he's only going to have a couple of days with the playbook. The last time Nick Mullins started a game against the Las Vegas Raiders, he looked like Steve Young.
Yeah, he absolutely crushed them. 16 of 22 for 262, 3 touchdowns, no picks. His team that would probably have been the Niners.
Yeah, it was
34-3. Yeah, beat him 34-3.
Yeah, so Nick Mullins is not a scrub quarterback. He can be an effective quarterback in this system. There are a lot of important positive cases. I think the spot I'm worried about the most is probably the offensive line and the safeties. I think the safety group was really starting to play well, but the safeties and the cornerbacks got kind of decimated. So that's a spot where I'm worried.
Well, not only on top of the COVID cases, Greg Newsome is out with a concussion. Anthony Schwartz and Kareem Hunt are both out. Schwartz is still dealing with a concussion, and Kareem Hunt has an ankle injury. And another one that's very nerve-wracking is Jadeveon Clowney has not practiced this week. He has a non-COVID-related illness. They have separated him out. Hopefully he's back, and hopefully we get Harrison Bryant back. He's been limited in practice all week, but he has practiced. On the good side, the Chief is back. Njoku has been taken off the COVID list yesterday, and he will play.
Yeah, as of right now, Njoku and Bryant are both active. They called up a third tight end from the practice squad. And with Clowney, he hasn't practiced much at all this year.
It looks like that was more of a, let's make sure Clowney doesn't get COVID while he's here.
Yeah, but offensively, let's turn around. Let's hand the ball off to Nick Chubb and Dearness Johnson. Maybe throw some screens to Felton. Let Peoples-Jones and Higgins run some real easy routes that Mullins can read. On the defensive side of the ball, those defensive linemen that are active have got to play well. We still have a couple really good active linebackers, and Denzel Ward has to cover Hunter Renfrow. Plain and simple. Like, Darren Waller is out for this game. Somebody's going to have to run down the field with Deshaun Jackson, but Oakland's whole offense is going to be hand the ball to Josh Jacobs and throw the ball to Hunter Renfrow. And I think even with this limited personnel, the Cleveland Browns should be able to stop that from hurting them. And on the defensive side of the ball, the Raiders have a bunch of players out and questionable with injuries. We were talking about it off screen. There are a lot of linebackers, defensive backs, offensive linemen for the Raiders that if I read you their name and you're not a big-time Madden player, you wouldn't know if they're a backup for the Browns or a starter for the Raiders. Like, plain and simple. Like, the Raiders are one of the teams I've been shitting on all year because their roster construction is bad and the players they have are limited starters in the NFL. Like, I still don't think the Raiders are good enough to beat this Cleveland Browns team as long as Stefanski is able to get a simple but effective game plan in action. And this is also the time, too, like as much as I'm opposed to it a lot of times, this may actually be the week to come out and throw the ball the first series because nobody on the Raiders are going to be expecting that.
Yeah,
this
maybe
might be the time.
Go like that
Take
first
a shot,
play, do hard
right?
play action and take a shot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that at all because
take a shot to DPJ on the first play down the field.
The Las Vegas Raiders, even at full health, have not been a very good team against the run. They're giving up 125 yards a game on the ground. The Browns really should look to pound it, but I would expect the offense to look a lot like it did against Denver when Keenum was in there. They're going to cut out the deep shots and those 10 to 20 yard plays. They're not going to run as much of that. But I think they can beat the Raiders running what the Patriots have been running all year. Heavy run sets, play action, don't ask your quarterback to make any tough throws. And I think that's a way that they can win this game because Vegas is a mess. And it really feels like they're getting to the point where they want to give up on the season and just get it over with. They've got an interim coach. They lost their best wide receiver because he got in a car crash and killed a person and got cut by the team. And they're struggling from top to bottom. Everybody knows they're going to get a new coach in the offseason. So I would imagine a lot of these guys are just looking to get through the string without getting hurt.
And you still, it sucks to lose Teller and Wills, but Batonio and Treader are still healthy. Run behind them. There are enough good players still active on this team to be able to compete and give themselves a chance to win this game. And I'm going to continue to say at times the Browns have looked best by addition by subtraction. While I hate that Walker and Phillips are going to miss, I'm not upset that Mac Wilson isn't going to play.
I knew you were going to point that out.
That's not going to be upsetting to me. And then, if Bryant and Njoku are both healthy with Austin Hooper out, I'm very curious to see how they will do running the limited routes that Hooper would have in this game plan. I'm very curious to see what Bryant looks like running Hooper's routes. I'm very interested to see how that goes. If the Raiders, but I do think, the place where the Raiders can take advantage of the Browns, if they're able to do it, is taking repeated deep shots down the field. But Deshaun Jackson's the only guy they have that can run down the field, and I don't know if they trust their offensive line enough to just hold up play after play against Garrett and Clowney. And even JOK if you start running some linebacker blitzes. So
yeah, my biggest concern for the Browns on defense is being able to hold up against the run.
Yeah.
Because Vegas can run the ball, and we've seen that when teams can run the ball on the Browns, it causes a lot of problems. And with so many D linemen out, I'm just hopeful that they can hold up enough to keep Vegas off the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think losing McKinley hurts, but Malik Jackson, Sheldon Day, Tommy Togiai, those guys in the middle of the line are gonna have to step up. I don't think it's gonna be easy for them, but I still think the Browns absolutely have a path to clear out victory in this game.
So let's just go ahead and look at the line. Vegas is favored in this game. 2 days ago, it was a 1.5 point spread. After the news of Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum being out with COVID, the line is now 3.5 for Vegas. This is going to be the Saturday afternoon game. The over-under is 38.5. Jimmy, who are you taking in this game?
I'll take the Browns with the points and the under in this one.
I agree with both of those statements. I think this is another one of those new Browns versus old Browns games.
Yeah.
These are the types of games that 5-6 years ago when the Browns were coming into a game with basically their full complement of players, as can be expected, maybe a few guys out here and there. We're playing a team that was mostly playing backups, and we'd watch the Browns consistently lose that game because the other teams just won on organizational strength. And if the Browns can win this game, it is just another testament to how far they've come as an organization and to create a winning environment. Like, these are the types of games, no excuses, just go out there and win, because that's all you got to do. And if they win this game and people come out Monday and they're bitching and moaning about how they won one way or another, I don't give a damn. Just go out there and win the game.
Yep.
And the Browns got...
And I would say also, I think, there are a couple people kind of vying for it. I think if in this situation, I think if Myles Garrett could have another huge game like he had last week, I think he could probably really catapult himself into Defensive Player of the Year standings.
Yeah, especially if he can come up with a game where he makes a couple tackles for a loss, gets a sack, causes a turnover, something like that, because they're probably going to need that. They're going to need at least one big defensive play.
Yep.
All right, well, the Browns did get some good news last night. Kansas City beat the Chargers in an overtime game. That was kind of a wild game, Jimmy. The Chiefs win with a touchdown in overtime. LA went for a whole bunch of fourth downs instead of kicking field goals. I think that's the right call because I think process is more important than chasing results. What are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Chargers had the right idea. You've got to keep trying to get touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs, but you've also got to cover Travis Kelce. So that's a pretty good idea. So, I mean, it's
that's a pro tip from the No Broken Legs podcast. Cover Travis Kelce.
I just people talk about how much great youth quarterbacks there are in the league right now, and there really are. Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, they have all the arm talent in the world, but man, structurally, their teams have to get better now because you can't beat the Chiefs now. I don't know how you're going to compete with the Chiefs when Patrick Mahomes is still at the back end of his contract and you've just signed Herbert to his big deal. I mean, you had a game where Patrick Mahomes missed wide open guys in the end zone and you still couldn't win.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to hear any more about how great this Chargers team is. You had all those chances inside the 5 and could not score. You had the ball on the 1 yard line and you did not give it to Austin Eckler or throw a pass to Keenan Allen. I don't want to hear any more about how smart Brandon Staley is because you're an idiot.
Well, he's a defensive coach.
I get that, but everybody's touting how great of a job he's doing as a head coach. If you can't walk over when you got the ball on the 5 yard line, you can't walk over to your offensive coordinator and tell him give the ball to Austin Eckler or throw it to Keenan Allen or let Justin Herbert run it. I don't want to hear about how great the Chargers are. Miss me with that shit.
Yeah, and it looks like the Chargers still haven't figured out how to win close, big games. That was their previous problem with, was it Anthony Lynn was their previous coach? Yeah, he couldn't win close games to save his life, and now you drop a close game like this. It'll be interesting to see how they respond next week. There is just a huge game for the AFC North. Green Bay is traveling to Baltimore. The Packers were 3.5 point favorites. That line has jumped to 6.5 after Lamar Jackson missed practice again yesterday. The over-under is 43.5. I would kind of stay away from this game at the moment because I have no idea if Lamar Jackson's playing. It looks like it's going to be a game-time decision, but based on the Sharps betting line, everybody thinks Lamar's not playing in this game. So if you are going to bet it, I would bet that way. I would go with Green Bay because if Jackson's not playing, Green Bay should win this game easily.
Green Bay should win this game easily if Lamar's playing. It might even
be as bad as he's been playing lately.
Yeah. It would be easier if Lamar is playing. Give me Green Bay and give me the over, both as locks. The Packers will score that many points by themselves. Baltimore is ready to be done for this season, and Aaron Rodgers is going to put them out of their misery.
Please do it, Aaron. I will forgive all of your COVID nonsense if you put the Baltimore Ravens to bed. The other games in the AFC North, we're going to see the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are 3-point favorites here, Jimmy, which was kind of surprising to me. The over-under sits at 44. Since he's been really up and down, Do you like Denver at home here?
I'm taking Denver. I think it's probably around a push, but I like Denver. I don't trust Cincinnati. I'm not going to get off that bandwagon. Like, I don't trust them to finish games. I mean, Zach Taylor's kicking field goals inside the 5-yard line. So for anybody that's like, oh, the Chargers should have kicked field goals, well, how'd that work for the Bengals last week? Like, you don't kick field goals inside the 10-yard line. That's nonsense. I still think the Bengals are a couple players away. And Denver just keeps fighting. I think Denver's going to take the fight to them. I think Denver's going to get this win. I really do. So I'm taking the Broncos here.
I agree. I think Cincy will struggle in the thin atmosphere because they really like to run. And Denver just seems to be able to get pressure on defense even without Von Miller. And that is the key to beating Cincinnati and slowing them down on offense.
That's how you slow it down.
Our next game in the AFC North sees the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee are 1-point favorites. The over-under sits at 41.5. I don't know what Pittsburgh does. Claypool completely fucked them over last week, so thank you, Claypool. We appreciate your shenanigans to fuck over the Steelers. The Steelers seem like a team that's been waiting to fall apart all year, but they seem to just hang around. I'm going to take Tennessee here to win, and maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but Tennessee looks like they've got a little something in terms of pulling together to get by without Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and the running backs they put in have played pretty well in his absence. I think Tennessee's going to win this game as well. I don't think Pittsburgh will. I think Tennessee's a little bit more cohesive. Pittsburgh's not going to get like that 21-point quarter they've had the last couple weeks to show up in games. So I think Tennessee wins this game.
Yeah, I think Vrabel will do enough on defense to keep Pittsburgh stymied, and then, combine that with what Pittsburgh will do to keep Pittsburgh's offense stymied, and Tennessee should be okay.
Yep.
Another big game in the AFC, the New England Patriots are traveling to Indianapolis to take on the resurgent Colts. The Colts are 2.5-point favorites here. The over-under sits at 45.5. I saw this line and was shocked. I love New England here. I love the New England money line at plus 120. To me, it comes down to it's going to be Carson Wentz versus Belichick because Belichick isn't going to let Jonathan Taylor run wild.
Yeah, no, I'm with you in this one. Give me New England. Give me the money line. I don't understand why the Colts are favored in this game. Maybe it's just the home field. I don't know.
Yeah, they only took a half point off the home three. Yeah, very weird.
The Colts, I mean, even in the games the Colts have won, they've almost lost every game they've won. Like they've almost wasted away performances by Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is not going to run wild against Belichick. So give me the Patriots.
The Buffalo Bills are hosting the Carolina Panthers, and they better hope Indianapolis puts on a better showing than we think they will. They have lost 2 in a row, but Jimmy, Buffalo's coming off a moral victory against Tampa Bay, so they should be just fine, right?
Well, yeah, because they're playing unfortunately, to my heart, they're playing a bad team, and they've bullied bad teams all year. If you're having
most of the year, they did lose to Jacksonville.
That's true. You're not wrong there. But if you're having trouble stopping quarterbacks, play against Cam Newton and PJ Walker. That should help you out.
Yeah, the Bills are 12-point favorites. The over/under is at 44.5. Are you taking Buffalo here?
Yeah, I'm taking Buffalo. I
me too.
I have no faith in Carolina now.
They're a mess, and it looks like Matt Rule may be the next college coach to follow Urban Meyer out the door.
Oh, man, I hope not. I think he can do some good stuff there if he's given some time.
Yeah, I think they tried to go with Sam Darnold because they didn't really have a draft pick to get the quarterback they wanted, and I think they should be looking to draft a quarterback next year. Now, whether or not they keep Matt Rule, we'll see, but I think Rule's done. I think he's been okay considering that roster. We'll just have to see what happens with him moving forward. The Miami Dolphins have found their way back into the playoff chase, and nothing is better for your playoff chances than playing the New York Jets at home. The Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites. This line jumped a couple of points over the last couple of days, too. The over-under sits at 42. Every week, I've said the same thing for like 3 weeks in a row. The Jets stink. Zach Wilson stinks. I'm taking the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's easy. We don't need to talk anymore about it. Take the Dolphins, everybody.
Jimmy, your LA Rams coming off a huge win over Arizona to keep their divisional hopes alive. They are hosting the resurgent Seattle Seahawks. The Rams are 4.5-point favorites here. The over-under sits at 45.5. I'm taking Seattle because I feel like this is a field goal game, but I do like the Rams to win.
Yeah, no, the Rams are going to win this game. They're also going to cover. They're going to go ahead and bury the Seahawks season and make Russ really consider what he wants to do in his future endeavors. The Rams are going to outclass Seattle in this game and really make Arizona have to work down the stretch to keep a hold of the division.
Speaking of those Arizona Cardinals, they are traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. They are 12.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 47.5. I like Arizona to win this game. I think Detroit gets the backdoor cover primarily because there is no DeAndre Hopkins for Arizona in this game. That's a big playmaker that they're going to miss. I think they win. 12.5 is too much for me, so I'll take the Lions here.
Well, I'm going to take Arizona because while there's no Hopkins for Arizona, looks like Detroit's going to be without Swift and Hawkinson. So I'm going to go ahead and take Arizona because I don't know where Detroit's going to get enough points to stay with Arizona.
I think they've perfected the backdoor cover. Like this could be a 20-point.
Well,
this will be like a 17-point game, and they'll get some cheap touchdown late in the fourth.
Yeah.
That's sort of my prediction here.
Yeah, they've been doing it quite well.
The San Francisco 49ers are home. They are playing the Atlanta Falcons. San Francisco's been hot for a couple of weeks. They're 9.5-point favorites here. The over-under sits at 46. I just wrote San Francisco hot, Atlanta's not good. I think San Francisco puts Atlanta to bed.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think it'll be a pretty easy game for San Fran.
Yeah. Also in the NFC, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off an actual victory against the Buffalo Bills. They are home facing the New Orleans Saints. This is an 11-point spread. The over-under is 46.5. Jimmy, fucking Tom Brady, man. I'm glad I threw a little money on his MVP because it looks like he's going to win MVP, and I think he has another big game here against the Saints.
Yeah, I do as well. This game is going to be very interesting to see exactly what New Orleans does because we know what Tampa does is stop the run, but when you've got Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara in the backfield, all you can pretty much do is run. So it's just going to be good versus good. I'm excited for the game, but I'm with you. I got Tampa to cover this one.
The Dallas Cowboys pretty much put the division to bed with a win over Washington, and they're now playing the New York Giants in the Meadowlands. Dallas are 10.5-point favorites. The over-under sits at 44.5. The Giants stink. I think Dallas wins this one pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Dallas isn't playing good enough to be beating teams by 10 points, but I just don't trust the Giants enough to cover it. So yeah, I'm going to take Dallas.
That Joe Judge looks like he's on his way out, and they may be getting a new GM as well.
Well, it's about damn time.
Yeah, Gettleman's been pretty terrible. When people are looking at your record and saying the mostly average trade for OBJ is your crowning achievement, that's not good. Although Jabril Peppers has been really good this year and has been he's been a pretty good player. Not a Pro Bowler, but he's been a good player. The Philadelphia Eagles are home. They're taking on the Washington Armada. This game was a 7-point spread 2 days ago. It is now 12. I don't know why. I'm guessing Washington had a bunch of COVID cases. The over-under sits at 44. I don't know what to do with this game. I don't trust Philly to beat anybody by 12, even if Washington's playing half their backups.
Yeah, Washington's the other team with the Browns with all the COVID cases. So I am going to take Philly. I think they need a get-right game. I believe Jalen Hurts will be playing, so I think you'll see Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders kind of go bonkers in this game. So I am taking Philly. All
right, I'll take Washington. I've got some faith that what's the coach's name in Washington? I'm totally blanking. Rivera, yeah, I think Ron Rivera. I think he's a good coach, and I think he'll have those guys ready to play. They might not be able to win, but I think they can keep it closer than 12.
You're probably right.
The Fire Matt Nagy watch continues as the Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Bears are home for this one, but they are 3.5-point underdogs. The over-under sits at 44. What do you expect to see Monday night from this game?
I expect to see Minnesota win. I think Minnesota is just a better team than Chicago. I do hope Minnesota's been practicing their punt and kickoff return coverage because that was Chicago's best offense last week. So, but yeah, I got Minnesota. It looks like most of their guys are coming back, so they should have their full complement of weapons. I think they'll get it done.
Yeah, I'm taking Minnesota here as well as they keep their playoff hopes alive. And this is the only game that has no playoff implications that's left on the schedule. It's this week's edition of the Who Gives a Shit Bowl. The Jacksonville Jaguars are home. They are taking on the Houston Texans. They are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 39.5. The big story coming into this game, Jimmy, Urban Meyer has been fired after just I can't even begin to explain what the fuck is going on with him and how much stuff there probably is that hasn't been reported. But Jacksonville's probably better without him. I never really liked the hire and the way they gave him full control. It seemed like it was doomed from the start. He couldn't handle losing at the pro level. I just think Jacksonville is cutting their losses, and that's the right decision.
Well, you do tend to have to fire people when it comes out they physically assaulted one of their employees.
Yeah, he kicked one of his kickers, like the kicker. All he does is kick, and you kick him in the leg he kicks with. Like, what are you fucking doing?
Like, I mean, there's been a lot of gray area stuff with Urban, but this was not gray area. You can't keep a coach that's openly physically abusing players because then what's he doing when they're not just out on the practice field? So, I think Houston's going to win this game outright. A lot of times when a coach gets fired, it galvanizes a team. I don't think Jacksonville is together enough for them to galvanize them. I think it's going to be a horrible football game, but I think Brandon Cooks is going to cook Jacksonville's secondary, and I think Houston's going to get a win here.
I'm going to take Jacksonville. I just think that with the specter of Meyer gone, everybody's going to kind of breathe, and I do think they'll pull together and play better. I think Trevor Lawrence has a real opportunity here to build something going into next year and show that he's a leader and that he can lead these guys. I think that's big for him. Plus, he's had just a horrible season. It's clear that coaching had a big part to do with that. So I think he gets a little momentum going here these last couple of games to make that job look a lot more attractive to whoever ends up getting it.
I don't know, man. You know how high I was on the Jacksonville Jaguars coming into the season.
I know, we flipped.
So I have watched an absurd amount of Jacksonville Jaguars football, and there are a lot of throws that Trevor Lawrence has made that you can't blame on the coaching. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes for him.
I think that we've seen it enough in Cleveland where a bad coach puts players in position where even the easy stuff becomes difficult because they don't feel like they have a firm grasp of what's going on. To your point, though, a lot of the money line action's on Houston at plus 170.
Yes.
So if you've got some winnings, I would not hesitate to put it on that Houston money line. I don't think I'll be surprised if Jackson covers, but I think Jacksonville is gonna pull together, and I think they do win this game though.
All right.
I definitely wouldn't bet the minus 210 though. That's a lot. those are bad odds.
Those are bad odds, bro.
Yeah. What are your final thoughts here for Week 15 in the NFL? Obviously, we have just a couple of really big games in the AFC. You know, New England's playing Indianapolis. It would be really helpful if New England won that game. Cleveland obviously has to beat Vegas, but we also see Tennessee. If they can beat Pittsburgh, that would just be fantastic for the Browns. And then, again, Denver beating Cincinnati would be very helpful because the Browns have the tiebreaker over Denver and it knocks Cincinnati back.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening on the schedule, you know. Buffalo has been hanging their hat on moral victories the last 2 weeks, so they need to get an actual win, or they're going to be looking at not making the playoffs. But I agree with you. Really, for us as AFC North fans and people in the AFC South, the New England, Indy, and Tennessee-Pittsburgh game are huge. And then in the NFC, I think the Seattle-LA and the Tampa-New Orleans game, those are huge games as well. I would like to say the Green Bay-Baltimore game is huge, but I think at this point, Green Bay might be the best team in the league. I don't think they're going to have any trouble with Baltimore. But, it's just, real life shit is starting to affect football now. We've talked about it. The league had been pretty lucky this year, but like you really hit it, kind of what's going on with this new variant right now. And the league's going to have to adapt and adjust because, if asymptomatic healthy players are positive, but they're not passing it on to other players, what the hell do you do? I'm glad I'm not paid enough to have to make those kind of decisions. But I believe the league will do what's right for the bottom line, so we'll get to still see football. So that'll be good. And I'm really excited for this Browns game. Like, I agree with you. This isn't the old Browns team. This is a new Browns team. This is why the roster was graded so highly by PFF. It wasn't just the starters. It was the backups. Like, Hudson played great last week. He gets to play again this week. I expect him to do just as good. I think the Browns have a path to victory, and I think they'll get there. I really do. So just excited for another week of football, man.
Yeah, I think the Browns find a way to win ugly. I think they'll really have to rely on the defense. And the two teams that look like they're the best in each division, Kansas City with that win last night really cements themselves as the AFC title contenders. Yeah. Green Bay's looked really good. Both of those teams, we know what they bring on offense and with their quarterbacks, but the way those teams have been doing a lot of damage is with their defense. And if their defenses are going to continue to play really well, they're both going to be just super tough to beat.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we'll wrap up there. We'll see what the new COVID protocols are next week, and hopefully they find a way to get some of these guys that are testing positive but are vaccinated and are symptom-free. We'll see how that shakes out, and we'll also see how the game shakes out tomorrow. It's going to be Skeleton Crew Browns against the Raiders. We'll see. It's a good test of organizational strength, and I really hope that the Browns can come through and not just fold like I think a lot of fans are expecting them to with everybody out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure discussing all of this COVID madness.
I'd rather be, brother.
All right, and we want to thank all of you for listening. For Jimmy Champ, I'm Evan Belfiore, and we are No Broken Legs.
Every action has a repercussion. Lyrical bullets don't make me get the bussin'. Representing for the people. Cleveland Cavaliers.